You just emphasized we don't know any of the full details of this. That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no.
We don't know for sure if this is a supporter shooting his gun off. This is the deep thoughts that come from MSNBC. This is like the deep thoughts that come from MSNBC. And they weren't done. They weren't done when it comes to Charlie Kirk. MSNBC had to issue an apology from this video right here.
But following up what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
MSNBC had to post sorry. Statement from MSNBC President Rebecca Cutler says, during our breaking news coverage of the shooting of Charlie Kirk. Get this. Let me make sure you can see all that. During our breaking news coverage of the shooting of Charlie Kirk, Matthew Dowd made comments that were inappropriate, insensitive, and unacceptable. We apologize for his statements. As has he. There is no place for violence in America, political or otherwise. It's like, what?
But following up what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this.
Yeah, if I could just follow it up, he's incredibly divisive, so he had it coming. Is that what you're trying to say? Because that's what it sounds like. Charlie Kirk is divisive? Dude, if Charlie Kirk is divisive, we're all screwed.
This, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always...
This hate speech. What hate speech? What did he say that was so hateful? Say it. You can't. You're just saying talking points. At the death of some guy that has a wife and 2 young kids, you can't even have a moment of mourning. They just jump right on it. This guy was hateful. This guy had hate speech. This guy had said hateful things. The previous clip. It was probably some guy just shooting in celebration of Charlie Kirk. What?
Speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words.
Look at him smiling as he says it. You're right. Look at him smiling. Look at this guy smiling. He thinks this is like such an amazing point. I always go back to the old saying that my father once taught me when I was a young schoolboy and I was working through my problems myself. Hateful thoughts equal hateful fart. Like, it's just like...
lead to... And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
Is that what you go back to? Interesting, because I feel like what you're saying now is pretty hateful. So, by your own logic, it feels pretty hateful to me, bro. Feels pretty hateful to me. Oh, I'm allowed to be hateful towards Charlie Kirk because he's like a Nazi and stuff. So, I could say whatever I want. God. I mean, you don't hate these people enough. Fire MSNBC. Having your logic collapse / feelings hurt is not hate speech. Exactly. We apologize and wrote him $1 million bonus. Yeah, I know. He's out on paid leave. He's on an island. He's on an all-inclusive resort right now, really thinking about his statements. His wife should sue. I hope. I'm sure she's not even thinking about that right now. If you don't agree with them, they hate you. Yeah, and if you don't agree with them, you're considered what you're saying is hate speech. Who's this jackass? It is Matthew Dowd, and this guy is not endowed. God, that was stupid. I hate myself for that. Okay, but it didn't end. It didn't freaking end. It didn't end with MSNBC. Okay, it gets worse. It gets worse. So instead of like mourning about Charlie Kirk or having a moment of silence or anything like this, or having a sort of reflection moment of maybe we need to tone down the rhetoric because maybe we're contributing this sort of violent action and stuff like that by calling Donald Trump Hitler and calling Charlie Kirk Hitler and calling the white supremacy the biggest problem in America, these sorts of things. They didn't decide to have that moment. Instead, they decided they're worried about who the next Charlie Kirk is going to be. They're so worried that somebody else is going to become Charlie Kirk by this happening.
Because as we were just talking about a moment ago with Alan, after one of the Doge employees was allegedly attacked in Washington, D.C., that's what Donald Trump used as justification to send in federal troops.
Oh, wait, this is the clip about Donald Trump using. So they're worried about Donald Trump using this horrific event for what? What do you see happening? I thought you wanted to clamp down on guns. No? Oh, so Donald Trump used a horrific event that happened to one of his people that he hires to work under Doge, which actually did happen. And then he clamped down on D.C., making D.C. a safer place for all citizens, which a normal human being would enjoy that actually lives in that city and has to deal with that crime and infestation of criminals and constantly being let out. She's worried of that, like, Donald Trump's going to use this. He hasn't yet.
After one of the Doge employees was allegedly attacked in Washington, D.C., that's what Donald Trump used as justification to send in federal troops into Washington, D.C.
Right.
to get things under control. The carjacking situation, he used that.
Yeah.
And I know it's hard to predict the future, Mark, but you can imagine the administration using this as a justification for something.
They're worried about the Donald Trump administration. Is you going to use this for something? I know what you're alluding to. You're trying to say that Donald Trump, and this is just, this is me guessing. I don't know this for a fact. Attention lawyers. But you're alluding to Donald Trump using this for something horrible, aren't you? Thus, continuing down the rhetoric that people on the right are fascist and Nazis, and this is like a good thing that things like this happen, right? Is that what you're saying? Certainly feels that way.
I must admit, I'm at a loss to guess as to what happens next. But Kirk,
I'm at a loss that happens at what happens next. I'm at a loss of words. Okay, this is where it gets weird. Okay, this is what I was talking about before, and this is the point where MSNBC decides, we're worried about who the next Charlie Kirk's going to become, who the next Charlie Kirk will be. Now that this Charlie Kirk's dead, who's the next Charlie Kirk? We really need to get a research on that immediately and make sure that they're doing as much research as possible to figure out who the next Charlie Kirk is going to be so we can start demonizing that guy. You don't hate these people enough. They're absolutely insane. They're nuts. They're crazy. And MSNBC is part of the problem, and they don't even know it, and they can't even realize it. And my freaking boomer parents on one side of my family watches MSNBC. It's depressing. What kind of consequences or actions our side will suffer? I have no idea. That's a great question. She said that the Doge guy was allegedly attacked. I know. She can't even admit it actually happened. She can't even admit it. Freaking Big Balls was attacked. You don't attack my big balls like that. Okay, but here's her like worrying about who the next Charlie Kirk's going to be.
People are really upset, and they start lashing out online, and they start blaming others for what led up to this. And
stuff that you do when stuff like this happens. Stuff like that, stuff that you guys do. But as soon as it's crazy, when the right wing starts doing a little bit similar actions as the left wing, that's when they get nervous. Very interesting.
Lashing out online, and they start blaming others for what led up to this. I mean, we see it when Democrats are targeted. We see it when Republicans are targeted. And we're seeing it with this. Anna Paulina Luna, who's a representative from Florida, has put this out on X. She's blaming the Democrats. She's blaming the rhetoric the Democrats use it.
Yeah, and we don't want to actually have any kind of remorse or accountability for any of our actions whatsoever. Dude, if my rhetoric caused somebody to do something, I would have some remorse, accountability, because I don't know, I'm a human.
Use calling Republicans fascist. She's saying you are the hate. If you're in the FBI field office and you see this sort of stuff bubbling up online, how worried do you get about somebody taking up the cause of Charlie Kirk?
What the f? She's sad? Yeah, that's such a fake sadness, isn't it? How worried are you of someone taking up the cause of Charlie Kirk? What the frick, dude? What the frick, dude? What the frick, dude? What the frick, dude? How worried are you? On a scale of 1 to 10, how worried are you?
See this sort of stuff bubbling up online. How worried do you get about somebody taking up the cause of Charlie Kirk? And lashing out on somebody who's seen as a Democrat or somebody who is.
Oh, God. I just want to, like, end existence after that. Let's reset the simulation, dude. What the freak, dude? How do you watch a show like this as an adult and think, yeah, I'm adulting right now. I'm adulting. This is how adults process horrible events. Scale of 1 to 10, how worried are you about the next Charlie Kirk being Charlie Kirk? What if the next Charlie Kirk is better than Charlie Kirk? The horror. The horror. MSNBC should be sued to oblivion. They should be taken down. I thought you guys were the cool new thing. Didn't you guys change your name to MS Now? You guys were supposed to be like a genuine news program with genuine voices. We're not MSNBC. We're MS Now. We're Muscular Dystrophy Now. God, you guys are sick.